There is no way a $600 billion company is wrong about this. A company that bought us Uber, Stripe, Coinbase, Airbnb are saying to do this. So listen up and I will tell you exactly how. How to build a full stack traditional AI company. Now I want to start off by explaining exactly what a full stack company is. So if you're in AI or tech, you might have built an AI agent or a workflow, or you might have built some stuff yourself anyway, and you've gone to a business and tried to sell them. Common one would be a AI chatbot or something of that description. You sell it to law firms. Now, a full stack AI company is where you develop that technology for yourself and then you go and build that company. So let's hypothetically say you are a lawyer. You are in distribution, in retail, whatever it might be, and you also have AI skills, or you can find an AI partner. You can actually build an AI first traditional company from the ground up and basically obliterate the traditional incumbents at a rate never seen before. So in this video, I'm going to be walking through exactly how, if I was you, I would go and find the industry, if you're not going to be going after your own, how I would identify the issues, how I would then build or outsource for somebody to build the technology, and then how you can then go and build your own AI first company. Building a AI full stack startup is genuinely one of the greatest opportunities for the average person. And you might not believe me when I say that, but I'm going to break this down for you in a very simple way. So what I would like to do is I'm going to use a stupid, simple example. So why don't we do like accounting and then we'll do like HVAC. So both service companies, one's more in the field and one is more in the office. So they will have different amounts of leverage. What we are going to be doing is we are going to be AI consultants at first. And in what we are going to do is we're going to be reaching out to these companies, this avatar, this ICP, and we are going to be offering them an AI audit. And an AI audit, very simple, is you going into a business, auditing it and finding out the inefficiencies within the company that can be solved by AI. It is genuinely that simple. What you will then be doing is we will be doing 10 of these at a bare minimum. Now, you're going to be getting paid for these. You're not going to be doing these for free. So at start, if you want to do first one for free, but all the way up, we've done as high as 75, 80,000, but let's say on the low end, 5,000 for an audit. So you are actually getting paid. So let's assume 10 audits. Let's say you do a couple free. You've made 40K here. What we're then going to be doing is from this, we are then going to have identified the workflows that can be built from the inefficient processes that we have found. We're then going to sell these to the people we've done the audits for because they want these things solved, right? So you have essentially identified the bottlenecks in their workflows and you say, hey, this is how we're going to solve them. This is what it's going to cost you. You should have an 80% plus take rate on these. We're going to sell them to them. Bare minimum, you're going to make 15, 20 grand for each of these, and that is on the low end, so we'll say 20K. And you might have a bunch of workflows you're going to end up doing for them. And then what this is going to essentially do is it's going to obviously put more money in your pocket, but most importantly, and I'm not sure how I'm going to draw a brain, that's my version of a brain, it's going to incite you with the knowledge about these industries from real companies to figure out where the real inefficiencies are, so you build the workflows to solve them, and you've got paid all the way up till this point. We are then going to start our own version of this company. So whether you are an accountant or an HVAC business owner, we are then going to be starting our own business. Now, for me, it was a consulting firm. So I did an AI first consulting firm where we leveraged all the technology that basically streamlined all the stuff that we would have to manually make, like documents, like onboarding, like lead generation, all that stuff. You know, I've got experience with both of these. So for example, this one, you might have done like invoices, onboarding, common ones. You know, it's even the same for HVAC, to be honest, those ones. You might also have reviews, will be another one. You'll have calls, so like fielding inbound calls from people. So they fill in like, if it's a chatbot on your website, if they're actually calling using an AI receptionist, AI voice to actually deal with that stuff for you. Even now, we have AI that's good enough to actually call and get stuff. So let's say HVAC and you need a supply, you need, you know, some piping or whatever from the supplier. You can actually just tell your assistant, your AI assistant, hey, I need you to go and order me some of this stock to get delivered. And AI will literally call using voice to get that stock to the supplier, right? It's pretty crazy. So what you're going to do is you are then essentially going to be starting these companies with your skill set, with your knowledge. From day one, you are going to have a fully AI optimized business where you're going to have seamless onboarding that can gather all the information, all the documents, everything you need from a client. You are going to have all the processes internally absolutely dialed in, invoice collection, management, billing. You're going to be collecting reviews from your clients. You're going to be managing and fielding all the calls from your clients, from new leads that are interested. You're going to have also a big one for all the companies that I've worked with is lead gen, right? So a lot of people struggle with lead generation. You'll have lead generation systems either through ads or through outbound methods, even content. You can automate a lot of that. You obviously have to film the videos, but essentially now you can come in and destroy the incumbent. Traditional businesses, a good one. I've worked with a lot with manufacturing companies, so they're about 8% margin. More accounting firms, consulting firms, 30% plus margins, pretty normal as well if they're well run. A lot of what accountants are now doing is actually outsourcing their the actual donkey work into other countries to do it. But a lot of that can now genuinely be done by AI, because a lot of it is just document processing, transferring information from one to another. So you're going to build that from the ground up. Now, with, let's say, white collar businesses like this, there is now going to be a world where these are operating at 80% margins, 100%, because realistically, the only things people you're going to have is anyone that has to do any sales, someone who's obviously managing everything that is going on, and then any customer facing representatives and checkers, people who are just checking the stuff that's going on. You're going to be running at 80% margins. Also, traditionally with accounting and law firms, you might charge on an hourly rate, which candidly, because I've dealt with a bunch of them, I fucking hate. I really hate it. I want to pay for the result. I want to say, hey, I need you to do my accounts and I want you to charge me a fixed amount for it. There is now law firms that I know of that are AI first law firms that now charge a fixed per project rate. They have grown at a drastic rate, destroying so many law firms, because the old traditional law firms don't want to switch from hourly to a per project rate, because that's how they make all the money. They just rack up hours in billings. Like, that's their whole model. So this is why also being an AI first law firm, which is a great example, is the old incumbents genuinely don't want to take this technology on, because it's going to cock up how they've always built and how they've always done business. When if you come into the market and start your firm like this, you are just going to dominate. There is a legal software that has deployed agents into like a full stack law firm, essentially. And I believe they got to something like 800 million in valuation, right? In a few short years. It was absolute madness. And it's because they realized that the old incumbent model was broken. People hated it. The lawyers loved it because they could charge a lot. And the reality is they came in and went, hey, no, we're just going to say, we're going to charge you $1,000 for you to doing, your accounts or whatever the case is, because we're using AI to do all of this donkey work, all this legwork, so we don't have to anymore. And we can charge you fixed free, because the reality is that lawyer, I'm going to do like a stupid simple example here. Let's say he charges $1,000 an hour and he does 10 hours of work. So your bill is 10K. With AI technology, for whatever that service is, let's just say a legal document. He might say, no, we do a fixed amount per project. We charge $3,000 for a legal document for the AI company, right? So this is the AI first one. The reality is that has now taken him under 1 hour. So his hourly rate has actually 3x'd. You are getting the document faster because the time to get it just shrinks exponentially. So he's getting paid more. You are getting the result faster, and ultimately you're happier because of that. And there's transparency is another major thing. Essentially, you can scale more. The only minor downside of this business is obviously you just got to have a lot more clients. When you have old traditional businesses that we're looking to work within, right? The point is that these traditional companies are archaic in the ways that they do things, and they've used that obviously to their advantage, especially now as we're evolving, where we're going to come in and just decimate that. Let's just go to, let's say, an HVAC or any type of, let's say, more blue collar service-based business, because again, the technology can do slightly less because there's obviously a manual element to their business, which, by the way, is actually one of the biggest moats with AI. With AI, community and service are going to be the two things that basically aren't really disrupted. You're always going to need an electrician to wire your house. You're always going to need a plumber to fix a leak. They're not going away. So it's like, how can we make these companies more efficient? Anywhere around 65 to 80% statistically of traditional businesses miss calls. Just think about that. Think about how crazy that is. So previously we've solved this with workflow automations. But if you have an AI first HVAC business, plumbing company, and you have the AI in place to actually manage, field, and qualify all the calls coming in, just through your current lead flow from a traditional business, you are going to potentially capture another 65% of profit and revenue within your business. And then things like reviews. Obviously, that is a big leading cause of you growing your business, because a lot of people use the Google reviews to rate you against others. You can automate all that. Invoice collection, escalation, you can automate all that. Leads and tracking where they're all at. You could also have this with clients where you have this portal. So there isn't this back and forth figuring out what's been done, what hasn't been done, because with cameras and technology these days, you can just have basically a ongoing list like you would in a CRM with a lead, saying, hey, this is what's been done. This is us ticking all this stuff on the box. It's safer for you because you can say, hey, we've done this work. Here is the evidence. So if there's ever any dispute, it's all been taken care of. And most of this can now be automated. That is the power. Now, when you are starting, let's say, a more traditional business like an HVAC, plumbing, like old school service base, now it's a case of how many guys can I get? How many vans can I get? How can I empower them? And the other big thing that I haven't even touched on yet is this. And you're going to see these dollar signs and you're going to think, I'm going to make more money. You're also going to be able to pay people a lot more money, which also reduces the likelihood of them going to compete against you, which is one of the biggest issues there. And also, when you have an AI first, like a full stack AI traditional business, you have technology and infrastructure that they are just not going to be able to replicate, and they will become comfortable with that very quickly. So I have gone in companies and they just have no infrastructure at all, and doing the smallest thing is painful, and you can see people are frustrated. Then you go into companies that are smaller in headcount and much more profitable because they've just built the infrastructure and the workflows and the automations around the staff to streamline all the stuff they hate doing. So there's the upside of that is that you can then pay those staff a lot more money for doing the same job because their output, their value to the business goes up. That's another good thing. So recruiting then doesn't become as big an issue, which again, with more traditional service-based companies, recruiting can be a huge problem. When if you can afford to acquire the top talent because you can pay them the most in the market and you've got the technology to keep them, then it's just a win-win. So that really is the final point. Recruiting, which is by far and away one of the biggest issues with more traditional companies, now becomes a non-issue because you have such huge margins, you have such great systems, and you have the leads coming to you. Everything is built out that recruiting the top talent, poaching them becomes exponentially easier because you have the resources to do it. My recommendation, go start a full stack AI company. I started a full stack AI consulting firm and previous consulting firm that was AI full stack as well, which helped find sales. If you like this video, drop a subscribe, drop a like, and check out the other videos on the channel, and I will see you in the next one.